Welcome back to my channel. My name is Ray, and we are here to jump into the penultimate episode of my stand-in. Episode 11. Here we are. So much has happened in this show. We are pretty much closing in on the end. Last episode we had, what did we have last episode? Oh, we had Tong basically removing Joe's name from the movie that they shot together, the sequel to Five Swords, I think it was. Basically declaring to the media that he did all of the stunts or whatever, like erasing Joe from the story just like he did the first movie. And it was in response to Ming, who was trying to basically give Joe the opportunity he stole from him way back when, by having Tong replaced. But Tong is also trying to get money from Ming, so he decided to bring in Ming's mom. And Ming was like, bet! And he brought in his dad. But I don't think it's going to go well, y'all. Because everything that they have, like, hinted at about the father makes him seem like a grade A asshole. So I don't think it's going to go well for Ming. But it was a moment of bravery. It was a moment of Ming finally confronting kind of his biggest fear, which is his father, his family in general, but mostly his father. Just the way that they've been talking about the father up till now. Yeah, definitely. But Joe is just, he's going through it. And so he just is over everything. So he decided to kind of remove himself from the equation. And then that's when Ming made his choice to confess and come out to his father. Yeah, I guess we'll see what happens. Honestly, I'm ready to jump into this episode. I am so excited to watch this. This episode dropped yesterday, so I'm a day later. But I'm so excited to get into it. Let's just go.
วันสำคัญของแม่พี่แบบนี้เขาไม่มีทางปล่อยให้พี่อยู่กับผมสองคนน่ะพวกพี่ทะเลาะกันเหรอ
Not exactly.
เขามาตามตื้อพี่อะที่บ้านเขาก็เลยไม่ค่อยพอใจพี่ก็เลยเฟดตัวออกมา
ผมรู้มันตลอดนะว่าพี่ชอบเขาอะ
Yeah, it was very clear. He was never going to stop loving this man, no matter what he did to him. Sorry, I didn't hear what he said.
ผมรู้มันตลอดนะว่าพี่ชอบเขาอะตอนนี้พี่บอกผมว่าพี่จะไม่คืนดีกับเขาอะผมรู้ว่ายังไงพี่
That felt like a lie. We all know you're not the strongest soldier, Joe.
พี่ก็ไม่รู้เหมือนกันนะซอนไม่รู้ว่าทำไมพี่ถึงโง่แบบนั้นนะ
ก็คงเหมือนกับผมแหละที่ยังตัดใจจากพี่ไม่ได้ทั้งที่รู้ว่าพี่ไม่ได้รู้สึกอะไรมากกว่าน้องคนหนึ่งเท่านั้นนะยังไงเราก็เป็นพี่น้องกันนะพี่
All right, back in the Nong zone. I mean, has he ever left the Nong zone since after Joe got over his crush?
เดี๋ยว
He just don't want to stay there.
กลับไปดีนะผมยอมรับนะครับว่าผมต้องการเงินแต่มันก็ไม่ได้มากพอที่ทำให้เขาเสียใจหรอกนะครับ
นายคงคิดว่าน้องชายฉันรักนายมากสินะเมื่อก่อนหมิงก็เคยหลงรักผู้ชายชื่อเดียวกับนายเลยแต่เขาก็มุ่งออนมาหานายแปลว่าวันหนึ่งหมิงอาจจะเปลี่ยนใจจาก
That's so funny. Like, because nobody knows the truth about this being the real Joe. So, like, he thinks that this conversation is going to, like, dissuade this Joe from loving Ming, but actually it's just proof that, like, yeah, he never got over you. Ever.
แต่มันก็ไม่ได้มากพอที่ทำให้เขา
Not
เสียใจหรอก
once.
นะครับ
นายคงคิดว่าน้องชายฉันรักนายมากสินะ เมื่อก่อนหมิงก็เคยหลงรักผู้ชาย
This is some good dramatic irony. I like it.
แปลว่าวันหนึ่งหมิงอาจจะเปลี่ยนใจจากนายได้เหมือนกัน
ผมก็ไม่รู้จะอธิบายให้พี่เข้าใจยังไงนะครับ แต่ยังไงพี่ก็ไม่เข้าใจเราทั้งสองคนหรอกครับ
ถึงมันจะไม่เป็นแบบนั้นเนี่ย วันข้างหน้า ครอบครัวก็จะบีบหมิงยิ่งกว่านี้ เข้าใจใช่ไหม สุดท้ายเส้นทางนี้ก็จะบีบให้พวกนายสองคนเลิกกันอยู่ดี
แม่ครับ แม่เป็นอะไรหรือเปล่าครับ
It wasn't
มีทนายคนหนึ่งเข้ามาหาแม่
a lawyer.
เขาเอาเอกสารนี้ให้
Are you getting sued or? This obviously got something to do with the dad, I'm guessing.
โจบอกแม่ว่า เขาให้ยืมเงินมาเพื่อใช้หนี้ สัญญาการเช่าเป็นเด็ก
Put it in literal writing? Why? Is that not illegal? I understand that they had a contract, but why would you actually put that in writing? Why not? Why wouldn't you just, like, I understand the money lending being in writing, but the actual, like, paramour part, the lover part, why would you put that in writing? Did Ming feel like he needed it in writing or it wasn't real or something? Like, what?
เก็บ1 ปี ดูยังไงมันก็ไม่ใช่การยืมเงินแบบธรรมดา
แม่ครับ แม่ฟังโจก่อนนะครับ โจอธิบายได้นะครับ
โจ หยุดพูดเลย แม่ไม่ใช่คนโง่นะ แม่ไม่เข้าใจว่าทำไมลูกทำแบบนี้
because he was using it as a screen to justify why he wanted to be with him again. So he entered into this contract. I mean, it was a couple of things. It was also for the money. Like, that's true. Very true. And he felt backed into a corner. Very true. But he also was using it as a, like, hey, this contract is also something that I can put between us, some guardrails that we can put over this because I'm diving back in, you know, and I'm gonna drown. And that's basically, you know, how he was kind of approaching it.
ต้องตาย แม่ก็ไม่อยากให้ลูกของแม่หาเงินด้วยวิธีแบบนี้
แม่ครับ
Yeah.
โจขอโทษครับ แต่แม่ฟังที่โจอธิบายก่อนได้ไหมครับ แม่
แม่ไม่อยากอยู่บ้านนี้ แม่จะไม่อยู่ที่นี่อีกแล้ว เพราะว่ามันไม่ใช่ที่ของเรา แม่จะไปอยู่กับป้านวล
แม่ครับ
คืนเงินเขาครบเมื่อไหร่ ค่อยมาหาแม่
She's pissed.
แม่ครับ แม่ฟังโจก่อนแม่
That's a mess. That's a mess. So who sent it? Was it Tong that sent the lawyer? Was it the dad? I don't think it was Mike. And it certainly was not Ming. Has to have been either the dad or Tong. My guess, who knew about the contract? Well, they had it in writing, so.
แล้วตกลงเกมนี้พี่อยู่ข้างใครกันแน่ครับ
He's on the family tranquility
พี่ไม่อยาก
side.
อยู่ข้างไหนทั้งนั้นแหละ
Yeah.
ถ้าไม่ใช่เพราะคำสัญญาบ้าบออะไรนั่นน่ะ
We wouldn't even be
อยู่
talking.
ห้อง
Yeah.
นี้
He's on a, I'm trying to mind my business. Not him starving himself. Oh, goodness.
พี่โจ
He look a mess. Oh, my God. Ooh, not him clocking.
แต่ผมเห็นหน้าพี่อะ
No, sir, you need to eat. What the hell?
เราไม่มีเวลาแล้วนะ พ่อแม่เนี่ยจะกลับมาแล้ว จะเคลียร์อะไรก็รีบเคลียร์แล้วกัน
Yeah, you're here to break up with him, right?
คือ มีคนเอาเรื่องสัญญา
It's like our 4th breakup.
เขาอยากให้เรา2 คนแยกกัน ยังไงเขาก็ไม่ยอมให้เราคบกันหรอกมิง
ไม่พี่โตยังไงผมก็ไม่ยอมเลิกกับพี่
หมิง แต่ถ้าหมิงไม่มีพี่อะชีวิตหมิงจะดีขึ้นกว่านี้นะ
Will it? Because his life seemed like shit. I mean, other than the money, you know, but and like his siblings. That's about it.
จะมีชีวิตไปเพื่ออะไร
แต่ยังไงบ้านหมิง
พี่โตเรื่องนั้นน่ะอยากพี่ไมค์เขาจะช่วย
He said, "I will."
พี่เขาสัญญาผมไว้แล้ว
How did you garner this
ใช่
promise?
พี่สัญญาว่าถ้าโจคนเดิมกลับมา พี่ช่วยพวกนาย2 คนได้คบกัน แล้วนี่มันเกี่ยวอะไรด้วยเนี่ย
Is he gonna? Who's gonna believe this? The others make sense because they actually knew old Joe, so that they could have conversations and actually believe that that was old Joe. But he's not gonna believe this. There's nothing that you could test. There's nothing that you could use to prove to people who are not acquaintances of old Joe that would actually make them believe that. There's just no way. It's impossible. He's gonna think that he's off his rocker. Here we go.
ก็คนที่พี่เห็นอยู่ตรงหน้า
We really about to float this out? I mean, I guess we could use the guy from the forest
นี่
to
นายอดข้าว
prove
จน
it.
สมองเลอะเลือนไปหมดแล้วเหรอฮะ
ผมไม่ได้ล้อเล่นนะพี่จำที่พระอาจารย์พูดได้ปะ
Okay, yeah, so they are gonna use him. Because they trust, the family trusts him, right? Because
แต่ก็ยังไม่ถึงกับมีชีวิต
he's like their family spiritualist, their family, you know,
ใช่เพราะพี่โตกลับมาอยู่ในร่าง
consultant,
ใหม่เนี่ย
let's say.
เหลวไหลเนี่ยใครจะไปเชื่อเรื่องแบบนี้กันฮะ
ผมรู้ว่าเรายังพิสูจน์ไม่ได้อะแต่ผมเชื่อนะว่าสักวันพี่จะเชื่อ
Oh, here's Pop. Here's Pop Pop.
ไอ้ไม้ใครพามันเข้ามา
ขอโทษครับ
Oh,
โอ้ยพี่โต
what about the? You don't beat up this old man. Damn, that sounded loud as hell. And now he's throwing up. This is a fucking mess. Yeah, he hasn't eaten for a week, right? Oh, goodness. Ooh. Oh, no. He's... Okay, he's not asleep. Got it. So, was that all play acting? Like, the whole... I'm so weak. I haven't eaten in a week. You know? Like... Was that all fake, or did he really actually go on a hunger strike?
สมกับเป็นพี่จริง
หมายความว่าไงอะ
He's a manipulator, of course. That makes sense to me.
หมิงแกล้งอ้วกเหรอ
ๆก็ถ้าไม่ทำแบบเนี้ยจะได้มาตั้งหลักที่นี่เหรอ
ว่าแล้วว่านายตั้งใจให้พ่อแข็งเนี่ยทั้งที่ตัวเองก็รู้นะว่ายังไงพ่อก็ไม่ยอมใจอ่อนหรอกเหนื่อยหน่อยนะ
ยินดีครับ
Some vibes there. All right. There's some serious vibes there, actually. Were they appearing in the book? Awkward. Awkward.
ขอบใจนะ
Yeah, that was a scary week for her, I guess. She almost lost one of her children.
ผมสิครับต้องขอโทษอะที่มีส่วนทำให้หมิงเขาต้องเป็นแบบนี้ครับ
จริงๆแล้ว แม่เป็นคนส่ง
Oh,
ทนายไป
she
บ้าน
was
เธ
the
อ
one. Okay. Well, then you need to come to my house and meet my mother and explain exactly what happened and why you did that and why we're not going to be living under this contract anymore. Like, I'm sorry, because what? You need to apologize to my mother for that, because that was some bullshit. And she's sick.
แม่ครับ เราสองคนไม่ได้คบกันเพราะผลประโยชน์อย่างที่แม่ห่วงนะ ผมพูดจริงๆนะ
Yeah, we know.
สำหรับแม่แล้วอ่ะสิ่งที่สำคัญที่สุด
Yeah, because she was like, oh, he's a gold digger. Meanwhile, Tong's ass is still there. When are we going to confront Tong for being a fucking gold digger? He's the fucking parasite sucking on this
ลูก
family.
ต้องจัดการเองนะ
Let's sort him. Yeah, we not. She not doing nothing. Ain't no way. You gonna put her in the crosshairs with the dad? Ain't no way.
ทานต่อไหม
คุณแม่ป้อนไหมครับ
ไม่เป็นไรหรอกแม่ป้อนเขาไม่ทาน
ตอนไหนจะเวลาแม่ไปเปิดงานอีก ต้องมาฟังเสียงคนเขาซุบซิบกันว่า มีลูกเขยเป็น18 มงกุฎอะ
แกต้องการอะไร
Leave us
ผมจะไม่ส่งหลั
alone
กฐานพวกนี้ให้นักข่าว
and stop
พ่อ
messing
สัญญาผมก่อน
with my life.
ว่าพ่อจะเลิกยุ่งกับพวกผม
Yeah.
นี่แกกล้าเอาชื่อถึงบุญคุณของเราอะไปแลกกับมันเหรอ
Yes.
หมิง หมิงคิดดูดีๆนะ ถ้าเกิดว่าหมิงทำแบบนี้อะพี่จะไม่มีที่อยู่ในวงการเลยนะ
พี่ทำตัวเองแท้
So, yeah, right. Go fuck
นาย
yourself.
จะไม่สงสารพี่ก็ได้ แต่นายควรจะสงสารหลานนายบ้างนะ
What? Oh God! And see, now the dad is going to protect him because he's carrying on the family bloodline. Yeah. Because he married into their family,
คือ
right?
เมย์เขาท้องได้4 เดือนแล้วอะครับ
She could have a
เรื่อง
job.
นี้กับทุกคน
Why don't you start treating your female members of your family like real
ห
people?
มิง ถ้างั้นเรามาคุยกันดีๆเถอะ อย่างน้อยก็เห็นกับหลาน
I understand what they're saying, but fuck them. If they were to get a divorce, guess what? this nephew would still be born and still be part of this family. Just saying.
หมิง อยากทำอะไรก็ทำไปเลยนะ
Do whatever you
ไม่ต้อง
want,
เกี่ยวกับ
right?
ลูก
Fuck that.
เจ๊
เมย์คะ เมย์พูดแบบนี้ได้ไงอะ
ครอบครัวเมย์อะ
Right? Like, read the room, sir. You married into this family, not the other way around, okay? What? Again, like I said, even if you get divorced and you lose your job or whatever, that baby is still going to be part of this family, this bloodline. So who cares? That ain't changing.
ว่าไงครับพ่อ ระหว่างให้ลูกคนเล็กทำเรื่องปวดหัว
เงินทั้งหมดในชีวิตของแก
I mean,
กับผู้ชายคนหนึง
he's probably going to lose his opportunities too.
แกเลือกไม่ยากนะ
Yeah, it's going to be very easy for him, actually.
พ่อครับ แต่ผมเลือกพี่โจ
This man died. See, this is the problem of them operating thinking that they know the whole truth, and they do not. Because they do not know that this is the original Joe in somebody else's body. This man died, and he was gone for like 2.5 years. Okay? This is Ming now having gotten Joe back after this man died, and it was his fault. You know? Like, it was his and Tong's fault. Like, no way. He's never going to let Joe go again. It's never going to happen. He would live on the street. Okay? Like, this is even before this, he was obsessed with Joe. Now, it's fucking over.
มิง คุณคะ
said, so be it. I'll get a new job. I'll be working down at the market.
เป็นยังไงบ้างครับคุณหมิง เท่ากับเปิดศึกกับบ้านผมแล้วนะ จะเจออะไรก็ไม่รู้นะ
ก็สิ
I mean, he's started from zero before, so he has more experience with that. Yeah, so I assume he's about to lose all of his brand deals and all of his, you know, influence to be a celebrity. And Joe probably is going to lose that job that he was lined up for as well. Starting from scratch. I mean, he's not going to lose, you know, Wood, his job with Wood, so. This feels like the calm before the storm, y'all. But this is the penultimate episode. Oh, buddy. Oh, buddy. This is about to go off the rails real quick.
ก็เมย์เรื่องน้องชายของเมย์มาก่อนพี่นี่
เมย์ไม่ได้เห็นว่าหมิงสำคัญกว่าพี่ แต่เมย์ก็เห็นว่าลูกของเราอะสำคัญกว่าที่พี่จะเอาไปเป็นเครื่องมือต่อรองกับคนอื่นน่ะ
Right? Not you using our baby as
เก็บกระเป๋าออก
leverage.
ไปจากบ้านพี่ซะ
พี่ตรงทำไมพี่พูดอย่างนี้อะ
It better be secretly to try and protect her from these guys that are
มีเรื่องหนึ่งที่
coming
ส
to
งสัย
kill
มาตลอด
him.
นะ
It better be.
ถ้าเมย์เป็นคนไม่มีเงิน
Bare minimum.
พี่ยังจะอยากแต่งงานกับเมย์ปะ
Answer is no.
เมย์ก็รู้คำตอบแล้วนี่
Ooh, her shoes are cute.
พี่ขอโทษ
Thanks. Like I said, bare minimum is that you're doing this to try and get her away from the guys trying to kill you. They're about to come out that door, I guess. Oh, no, they're pulling up. Never mind.
Joe.
Oh, it's fucking Tong.
พี่ตง
What you doing here?
โจช่วยพี่หน่อยนะ ช่วยไปคุยกับหมิงให้หน่อย ให้หมิงยอมช่วยพี่
He doesn't have any money. Why don't you go to Mike or something? Like you literally just watched him get kicked out with absolutely nothing to his name. He walked out of the house with only the clothes on his back. What do you think you're gonna get? You're too late. You should have been buttering him up this whole time, by the way. You should have been doing anything to make him happy. But instead, you decided to try and, you know, I don't know, force him to break up with Joe, expose him to his parents, etc., etc. Like, you're the one that's in this. Because you could have gotten the money that you needed by now. I'm just saying, if you had just finessed it right.
งั้นพวกเจ้านี่มาเอาพี่ตายแน่
พี่ตง พี่ก็รู้ดีครับว่าตอนนี้หมิงเขาไม่มีเงินแล้ว
Is that fucking Joe? Did he put on the mask as a diversion? Why would he? Because he looks like Tong from the back. Etc., etc. Oh, and there's Ming coming to pick him up. And he saw... No, it ain't. It's Tong. First time we've seen, sorry, pause before we get into this, whatever this torture scene is about to be. First time we've ever seen Ming see Tong's back and think that it's Joe. Tong one time got to feel what it's like to be Joe. Like, who the hell is this? You kidnapped the wrong man.
โกหก พี่โจจะช่วยพี่ทำไม
เขาไม่ได้คิดจะช่วยพี่ เขาช่วยลูกพี่ ให้ได้เจอหน้าพ่อเขา
โจนะพี่โจเมื่อไหร่จะเลิกเป็น
I
คนดี
know.
สักทีวะ
Truly the question of the day. How long are you gonna be a good guy? Because fuck this dude.
พี่ขอโทษนะ
I understand that's not in Joe's
Yeah,
nature,
but
though. He
good
just
little
would
man.
not be able to do that. But
ถ้ารู้แบบ
still.
นี้ พี่ก็คงไม่ปล่อยไอ้โจไปหรอก
มาขอโทษอะไรตอนนี้ ฮะ มันไม่ทันแล้วเห็นไหมเนี่ย
เฮ้ย เลิกทะเลาะกัน
Yeah, this ain't solving nothing. We on the
มาหา
clock,
วิธี
man.
ช่วยโจก่อนดีกว่าไหม
They just want money, right? How much money is it again? Hundreds of millions of baht, right?
เพิ่งรู้ว่าเดี๋ยวนี้สแตนด์อินเขารับงานนอกจอด้วย
Are you having trouble aiming from a foot away?
ผมหมิง
See, if I was this henchman, Joe would have already been dead. Cause what? I already been blown his head out. Like, what are we
เป็น
talking
น้องเข
about?
ยพี่ตรง
อ๋อกระเป๋าเงินตัวจริงมาแล้ว เฮ้ย เดี๋ยวก่อน
Like, he spent like 5 minutes aiming, even though he's only a foot away.
ผมรู้ว่าคุณจับคนผิดไป
ทั้งหมดเป็นความผิดของผมเองครับ
Yeah, you better kneel down. But again, I don't know if he cares that much.
แต่เขาก็ยังเสียสละเพื่อช่วยหลานของพ่อนะครับ
I mean, are we saving the grandchild or are we
คุณจะ
just
ทำตัวเป็นพ่อตอนนี้เหรอ
right? Like,
แต่ก่อน
right?
ยังเห็นเอาลูกเป็นตัวประกันอยู่เลย
You know what? Fuck this dad, but yet he is also not wrong. All of this is so much bullshit. All of this is so much bullshit. Because Tong, like, the switch up from I'm using my baby as leverage to now I actually want to be a good dad. Bullshit.
ทำลายหลักฐานของหมิงไปแล้ว แต่ผมยังมีเก็บไว้อีกชุดหนึ่ง
All right, we back to blackmailing.
ผมจะนำไปส่งให้นักข่าวเองครับ ผมยอมออกจากวงการ
Is that a disclaimer? That looks like a TV warning disclaimer. Uh-oh. Some fucking shit is about to go down.
ได้เดี๋ยวผมส่งคนไปต้อนรับ
พอแล้ว ถ้าอยากได้เงินที่เหลือ คุณต้องใช้ผม
So he's gonna use himself. Okay, so it's to allow for the swap, so that then he can use Ming as leverage with the dad and the mom. Although the mom, because didn't we establish earlier in this series that the mom does not have access to any of the family's like major wealth because she's a woman, and obviously in this family, women shouldn't be allowed to control anything.
ร้านอีก
Change the terms of
ไม่
the
น่า
deal.
จะต้องทำขนาดนี้ เพื่อไอ้เนี่ยคนเดียว
Obviously, come on, sir. Put the pieces together.
เพราะเขาคือคนสำคัญของผม
Just. Oh, God! Right in the center of his back! Oh, and then he fell down the stairs?
ต้องมีชีวิตอีกใครฉันอยู่คนเดียวไม่ไหวเจ้าสายน้ำที่เย็นช่ำที่ทุกวันคอยอยู่ข้างกายตอนนี้เขาได้เป็นหาดทรายที่มันไม่
Fucking Tong! Tong's bullshit got us here.
ตอนที่เขาอยู่
Oh my God. Are we gonna see the afterlife a little bit this time? Oh, this is very interesting. I like how they're rendering that. This little... It's not really a fisheye. It's... I don't know what this is called. This warping. It's cool, though. Are we gonna get answers to how he ended up swapping the first time?
เจ้าเห็นคือจิตของเรา
Oh yeah, he doesn't know. Sorry, he's not the audience, so he doesn't know who the fuck this man is. That's right.
เรา
Let's
เป็น
keep
อา
going.
จารย์ของหมิงที่เจ้าเห็นคือจิตของเรา เจ้ากลับมาอยู่ระหว่างความเป็นกับความตายอีกครั้ง
It's where you live, sir.
ครั้งก่อนข้างบนเป็นคนเลือกให้เจ้า
Now you get to decide your
เพราะ
own.
กรรมซ้ำๆแต่วันนี้เจ้าจะได้เป็นคนเลือกเองแล้ว
Personal autonomy.
ถ้าอยากทรมานอยู่ในวังวนเดิมๆก็กลับเข้าร่าง แต่ถ้าอยากหลุดพ้นจากวงจรนี้ ก็เดินออกประตูนั่นไป
Just go. That means death. What are you gonna choose, baby? It's up to you though now, Joe. You literally have a choice now. In a way that I feel like he never really had up to this point. Is he gonna get close to the door and then remember the good stuff too? Like his mom, his, you know, his friends, his family, and the stuff that he actually likes about Ming? Oh no, he said, I guess I'm dying. The fade to white, by the way, was great. Liked it. Okay. I think that's a fake out ending. I don't think we're gonna spend the last episode with Joe dead. Okay? Dead this time. I don't think we're gonna do that. So I think he's gonna go there, and just as he's opening it, he's gonna remember the stuff that he likes about his life. The, you know, newfound family that he has with the mother, and, you know, the closer bonds he's built with Wood and with Soul, and, you know, even the closer bonds that he's built with Ming, you know, regardless of everything. He has found some, I don't know, comfort, some happiness with Ming, you know. It's there. It exists. I know a lot of people wish that it wasn't there, but it is. This was an interesting episode. A lot happened. I do feel like... I mean, it felt like it was a penultimate episode that felt like it was aiming to resolve most of the kind of main conflict that had been building up to this point. I think the only thing left really is the, I mean, obviously, whatever is going to come after this shooting, because that was a brutal shot. Like, it was like he took two to the back, directly in the back, by the way. We need to talk about the semblances of that in a second, but we'll circle back around to it. But anyway, and so not only did we get, did we resolve a good portion of the conflict up to this point, we still do have the conflict with the mother, you know, trying to tell the mom about what's going on. I don't know how they're going to resolve that. By that, I mean, I don't know if they're going to continue to basically lie to her and pretend like he's Nujo, or if they're going to tell her the full truth. I don't know what would hurt her less, but I feel like they're going to try and aim for the thing that would hurt her the least amount. It's gotta be continuing to keep that a secret. I just cannot imagine telling her. She's not in her condition. She's sick. Like, there's just no way. We got to keep it until the end. We're going to keep that secret until the end. So, you know, yeah. Yeah, just so much happened in this episode. Like, we had the, you know, fallout from telling the dad. He ended up being a, you know, grade A piece of shit, as we suspected. Yeah. Just grade A piece of shit from beginning to end. But at the same time, that last scene, I was kind of agreeing with him. And almost, I don't want to say I was 100% agreeing with him, but like, because obviously I would have helped Joe. Because Joe being kidnapped, he wasn't part of this and he shouldn't be part of this shit with Tong. It's Tong's business, but at the same time, you know, this dude tried to help my family, so I'm gonna help him. But if I had the money to, yes. But he wasn't wrong. Like, you were literally hours ago using your child as leverage in an argument to try and pry money from my family, and now suddenly it's all, ooh, I want to see my baby grow up. Get the fuck out of here, Tong. Like, I'm not saying that he isn't being honest. Like, yes, of course, I think he actually does want to be in his child's life. I think actually he does have feelings for May, but it doesn't matter because she's right. He never would have approached her, never would have considered her if she didn't have money, because he was a gold digger. And second of all, you love your son or your child. We don't know what gender it is. You love your child, but you don't love them enough to not use them as leverage, you know? So, like, he's still skeevy, dude. So I understand him wanting to cut Tong off, but the moment that it was found out that Joe was taken instead, I don't know. That just feels... Also, it's such a mess that I feel like I would want to intervene just to keep it from blowing up into something that I can't control. If I was the dad, I would have just paid it off just so that we wouldn't be in the news or anything for being entangled in some kind of mafia shit. Because that's probably what's going to happen after this, right? Like, I don't know. I guess they could cover it up. But, like, I feel like with the cops arriving, it's going to blow up. It's going to be on the news. So the family reputation is going to be on the line anyway. And none of this would have happened if you had just paid it off. Especially when you know that you have the money. So just pay it off and keep it quiet, right? But, you know, he was being stubborn and he didn't want to give in to his son. So, you know, here we are. Okay, I do want to say one thing. I want to nitpick one thing. It's not really a nitpick, actually. It's a criticism. It's a critique. I didn't love the blocking in that last fight. It's always the thing when you have a storyline with action in which one character is supposed to be injured while trying to protect another character. It's almost always awkward, right? Because you almost always can find a way that they could have done it differently and neither of them could be hurt. I just think that the way that was executed was a little, you know, emotionally, I understand the whole Joe jumping in front, taking the bullets, and then, you know, falling into Ming's arm, etc., etc. But the actual blocking was that we had the bad guy here, we had Joe here. Let's turn this way. Let's see, right? We had the bad guy here, we had Joe here, and then we had Ming here about to get shot. Why would Joe run this way instead of just running over to the guy and knocking the gun aside or out of his hand, disarming him? There's a shorter distance between here and here than it was here. So why would he run to throw himself in front of the gun instead of running at the bad guy and just either knocking, you know, if he couldn't disarm him, fully disarm him, knock the gun aside so it doesn't hit anybody, you know? Like, I feel like that would have been a better choice, but because of the blocking, it felt like clunky to me. I think if the fight had landed, like, I think I kind of wish that all of this stuff happened and then they were running away and then the guy jumped up and went to shoot and accidentally hit Joe instead of Ming or something, you know, like while they were running away. I think I would have preferred that to the way it was. But I understand the need to have this happen because Joe was protecting Ming. I get it. Like, on paper, I get it. But I feel like if you're going to have that, then the blocking should have been different. Like, maybe after the fight that he had with the henchman, maybe Joe should have just ended up closer to Ming than to the leader, the loan shark leader. You know, I don't know. I feel like it just could have been done better. But like I said, that's a bit of a nitpick. It's a little bit of a nitpick. It's a critique, but it's also a little bit of a nitpick. But it's always like one of those things that stands out to me when it comes to action scenes is like, where are people, where do people land in a fight? And does it make sense for them to do this move or to make this action, you know? And sometimes it takes me out when I feel like I can see a flaw there. Because otherwise, everything else has been very good about this series. It's been very expert. Even the fight scenes. Like I've mentioned before, that I actually really like the fight scenes in this show. I think they are well handled. We don't have a lot of them. We have like 3, I think, maybe. 4, I guess. But so far they have been well handled. So it was kind of a stark contrast to see it here. But anyway, we're not going to belabor that point. That's all I wanted to say about that. Other than that, the emotions of the scene worked for me. That worked for me. Oh man, he took 2 to the back, y'all. It was bad. It was like direct center mass. Yo. Woo! Yeah. And then he fell down the stairs after, and then Ming was like lifting him up and shaking him around. Like, oh man. Oh man. It was bad. It was bad. All right, so let's talk a little bit about the symbolism of Joe getting shot in the back. First of all, this show has a back fetish. We know this. We understand this about the show. If you've been watching the posters have been wild because they've been like lots of shots of backs and stuff like that. And then slowly as the story evolves, you start seeing other kind of posters and stuff like that. And more of Joe from the front, and you know, the back being a kind of symbol of, there's a couple of things, right? Like it's a symbol of the thing that is used the most by him as a stand-in, as a stuntman, is that the thing that he gets acknowledged for is that his back looks like somebody else's back. He's always being shot from behind, shot with his face obscured, so that, because he's the stand-in, he's somebody who's going to be edited in such a way that you think he's somebody else, right? That's his job. And so the back is a symbol of that, you know? His back specifically is a symbol of that. His place in the world, which is to be hidden, which is to be left in the shadows, to never be acknowledged for his true gifts, his true personality, his own, you know, identity. So the back is kind of, at least for Joe, a symbol of both his perceived worth as well as the thing that is, sorry for the pun, but the thing that is holding him back. And so, you know, to have that be the target that, or the source of his injury here at the end, I think it's kind of, it's twofold, right? Like, is it about the destruction of the thing that is holding him back? Or is it the result of living a life as a stand-in? Is that it will lead you to ruin? You know, like it's hard to tell what the symbolism is there or which way you want to interpret it. But I do feel like it's significant either way, because certainly now his back no longer looks like Tong's. So any scene that he does in which he's shirtless is never going to look like Tong's again, unless you do some heavy makeup on Tong or on him to mask it and cover it up. Obviously, he's never going to be Tong's stand-in again. But, like, I mean, symbolically, you know, his back no longer will resemble Tong's ever again, because now he has, you know, bullet holes in him. It's a bit dark, but, you know, it's the truth. So it's like this grievous injury also is awarding him individualism in a way that he didn't have before, because his back was so often mistaken for somebody else's. So, you know, I just think there's a lot to unpack there. It's so interesting. It's so interesting the way this show has built so much of the story around the idea of the stuntman, of a stuntman who can only be shown from the back. That's such a fascinating story point to like draw an entire narrative out of and draw like heavy symbolism throughout the series. Like the several moments of like, you know, poignant shots of Joe's back or Tong's. Even in this episode, we had the first time that Ming mistook Tong for Joe instead of mistaking Joe for Tong, you know. We also like have throughout the series had so many like really like evocative shots of people's back, or specifically Joe's, especially actually both Joe's, I guess. And we've had kind of continuous emphasis on, you know, is Joe worth, what is Joe worth as a human being if it's not for his ability to be the shield for somebody else and the replacement, the stand-in for somebody else. I think that's just been such an interesting kind of through line of discussion for the show. And I think it's culminating here where he's kind of been the ultimate shield for Ming, literally shielding his body with from death. And then we get at the end here this choice that was given to him. Like the guy said, "Do we even know this man's name?" Like, I'm sorry, sir. But the spiritualist, we get the spiritualist kind of talking with Joe and saying, "Hey, you know, last time you were here on this brink, this, you know, liminal space between life and death, heaven decided for you, or, you know, the whatever this afterlife, whatever you want to call it, heaven decided for you on what would happen, and they sent you back into this body. So there was something, some entity or entities or some force, whatever we want to call it, that decided that Joe would return to this body and have a do-over, only to lead him here where now he has agency, he has choice." And that's always been another through line for the series is, you know, Joe taking control of his own life and finding a way to have agency, you know. And he's felt very reactive. And I don't necessarily mind that personally. I know some people are probably, I'm sure some people are probably very frustrated with the fact that Joe, up until, you know, outside of a handful of moments, is mostly a passive or reactive character. It's his nature, but also I know that for some it's probably very frustrating, right? It's not frustrating for me, but I know that for some people it probably is, that he's not more assertive and he's not more, you know, he doesn't quote unquote fight for himself. He does, he just doesn't do it in the way that's traditional, I think, at least in my opinion. But I'm sure some people are very frustrated with that, but I think it's also been intentional that he has been, his whole arc has been about where he draws the line, what is he willing to fight for, as well as can he find not just peace, but control, autonomy, agency. And so we hear at the very end, and they're actually posing the question, not just subtextually, but in the text. Hey, you have a choice. You can make a choice now. Like, do you die? Let go of this life? Or do you stay and go back to this cycle? And you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know if it's going to be worth it. But this is the choice that you have. And I feel like he's had a lot of mini choices up to this point. You know, like obviously we joke all the time about how Joe constantly forgives Ming no matter what Ming does. He's always going to go back to him. He's always going to forgive him. He's always going to choose to be with him. you know. And I feel like those have been like micro choices, mini choices. Like a lot of his decisions have been based on that, but they felt passive because it feels like he's giving in to Ming rather than he's making a conscious choice. And I feel like he's actually been making conscious choices more, but because he's been in denial about it, and because he keeps wanting to talk himself out of it, he has to construct reasons for why he's making his choice. Like I mentioned earlier, the whole contract thing. Yes, he was backed into a corner with his mom, and he wanted to take care of her. He didn't have the money. He needed the money. All of that stuff is true. It's absolutely true. But there was a part of him they wanted to use that contract so that he could be with Ming again. Come on. There was a part of him. And it certainly was a part of him that at least was accepting of using the contract as a framework for being in Ming's life again. At the very bare minimum. But he also wanted to use it as distance. He wanted to use it twofold, right? Or threefold, really. He wanted to get money for his mom, and he wanted to use it as a way to stay in Ming's life, but he also wanted to use it as a way to control how much he was in Ming's life and how much Ming was in his life. And so he thought he could use the contract as a way to kind of, which is why, because remember, let's not forget, when the contract first came up, the contract that Ming wanted was, hey, I'll pay off all of your debt, but you gotta be my lover, my paramour, right? I want you to be a stand-in for somebody else because you remind me of him. That was the deal that Ming brought to the table. But Joe changed the deal, and he said, all right, and he put guidelines around it. I want exactly this amount. I want this house, and it's only going to last for a year. Joe is the one who put those guidelines in place. So I think it's very important to remember that, because I think he wanted to use the contract to get what he needed, but also to control the situation. But it wasn't full on, he wasn't fully in control there, which is why I think it's significant that we had kind of him having moments of semi-choice so that it could lead us to here where he's having full 100% choice over what he does. Because I think these still were influenced through manipulation from Ming. It was also societal. It was also like the situational with the mom and the loan sharks, etc. Like there were a lot of pressure points that forced Joe to make the decisions that he made up until this moment, and his own feelings, his own lingering feelings. Because despite everything, Joe is still in love with me, and he's gonna be pretty much for the rest of his life. He just is. And so all of these things were influencing him, so he couldn't make decisions with 100% full autonomy, full control over everything, right? That's why I was calling them kind of micro choices. Like where they are choices, they are things that he is doing and he is acting on, but they also are so heavily influenced by external forces that they can't be 100% his choice. They can't be devoid. They don't exist in a vacuum. They can't be completely devoid of influence from other people. The biggest person there, of course, being Ming. But here, at the very end, technically, this is the first time that he's had choice that is completely devoid, that's completely his own. Nobody else knows about it except for the spiritualists. That's it. And he's not telling anybody. He's only there to just present the choices that Joe has, He's not going to influence him in any way, at least as far as I can tell, based off of that scene. So this is purely up to Joe. He doesn't have Ming in his ear saying one thing. He doesn't have Soul in his ear saying another. He doesn't have Wood. It's all about him and his decision. But even then, do we consider that a full 100%, uninfluenced choice? Because by now he has been in love with Ming for years. Let's not forget, Joe woke up having not experienced those 2 years missing So he was with Ming for about a year, and then now it's been close to another year. So he's been in love with Ming for about 2 years now, roughly. I'm not including the 2 years that he was in a coma because he doesn't remember any of that. So he died and then woke up. And so in 2 years were gone. So, you know, it's been 2 years at least from his POV. So he's now making his decision after having lived in this life. He also has memories, like I said, of his new mother, his closer bonds with Wood and with Soul. He has, you know, like the tentative relationships he's building, even with Ming's family, not his dad, but like his siblings. And the weirdly sweet scene in the hospital with his mom. Like he has all of the guys at not the gym, but at the studio that he practices with. Like he has bonds in a way that I feel like he never 100% had even before in his first life. At least not in such a way that he felt like they were as strong. So I think that he's going to be making his choice again with those influencing him. So do we consider that a full 100% choice, or do we purely an influence choice, or do we consider that still influence, but just now influenced by the bonds that he's created? I guess we'll find out. But all right, I have been gabbing for a while. This is a good episode, but it felt very much like a penultimate. Weirdly, everything was resolved, but we still have, you know, the fallout from the gunshot. We still have to unpack everything with the mom and explain everything to her. Notably, she was not there in that hospital room, so hopefully she didn't, you know, pass out or anything. Maybe she's on her way. Wood and Soul were there though, so, but yeah, we still have to, you know, reach a resolution there and figure out how to live after this. I mean, the dad, I think it's pretty much done with Ming's dad. I don't think he's going to turn around. Well, maybe he will, because I don't know. Does he care about his son enough to feel bad, feel guilty that his inaction resulted in Joe getting shot in the back? Is he going to be grateful for Joe saving his son's life, or is he going to, or does he not give a fuck about his son even there? I guess we'll find out. I guess we'll see. All right, we'll go ahead and leave it there, I think. I'm really excited to end out this season. I'm hoping that it can land strong. I'm hoping episode 12 will land really strong, because this show is pretty much in the running for my favorite show of 2024 that I've watched. Certainly my favorite BL, for sure. Yeah, it's been a great series. I've really enjoyed myself. So hopefully it lands strong, has a solid landing, and we can consider it kind of like a complete package. Yeah, fingers crossed. Okay, I'll leave the conversation that I want to have. I do actually want to have a more extended conversation about Ming's journey as a character, and a discussion about, let's say, redemption. But I think I want to save that for the end, for the finale. So I'll wait until I see how they land it, how they end it, and then I'll have a complete story to kind of discuss the handling of Ming's character and his character arc, and, you know, whether or not I feel satisfied with it or not. Yeah, I'll wait until the finale. So, all right. I will see you guys in the next one. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe. Go over to Patreon if you're interested in early access. By the time you're seeing this on YouTube, I will definitely be done on Patreon. I am several episodes ahead. I think I've only released the second episode on YouTube by this point that you're seeing this, or that I'm filming this. So this now is episode 11, so I am well ahead. I'm pretty much caught up with the airing schedule. So I'm actually recording this in time with airing. It's just taking me a while to edit stuff. But go over to Patreon if you're interested in early access. I also have early access and full length access for other shows that I'm watching. Over on Patreon, I'm probably at this point rolling out episodes of Pit Babe, because Pit Babe will replace my stand-in for release. And then I'm also probably working on some Japanese shows. I'm going to be watching oh my god, what is the name of that new GL? That new Japanese GL, JGL? Ayaka is in love with something. I can't remember the full name, but it's, you know, one character's name is in love with the other character's name, and it's like an office romance. So I'm really excited to that. I'm really excited to watch that. In terms of Thai shows, I will be watching The Secret of Us. That one will replace My Marvelous Dream Is You. I'm not filming it yet, but when we get closer to the end of My Marvelous Dream Is You, I will start filming. So I'll be a little bit behind on that. It'll be on Patreon far ahead of when it's going to be on YouTube. So, because I'm much further ahead with that, with My Marvelous Dream Is You than with a lot of my other shows that I'm releasing. Blank, I am very close to ending it. I just filmed episode 3 of season 2 today. We have 3 more left. So we'll be rolling through those episodes pretty soon. Replacing Blank will be My Personal Weatherman for at least a little bit. And then probably after My Personal Weatherman, that's when I'm going to replace it with Ayaka. Ayaka is in love with, I can't remember the other person's name. I think it's Ayaka. It might be Ayako, something like that. But either way, I will probably be replacing My Personal Weatherman with that show as well. So just to give you an idea of what I'm going to be doing, that's what my tentative schedule is. That could change at any moment, of course. I could suddenly decide to watch something that I wasn't going to watch, or drop something that I'm not enjoying, frankly. We'll see. All right. I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.
Baby, it's whatever. All this ever, but you long gone, it don't matter.